Page 28, Footprints Without Feet. Part 2. Eager to get away from crowded London, he took a train to the village of Iping, where he booked 2 rooms at the local inn. The arrival of a stranger at an inn in winter was, in any case, an unusual event. A stranger of such uncommon appearance set all tongues wagging. Mrs. Hall, the landlord's wife, made every effort to be friendly. But Griffin had no desire to talk and told her, "My reason for coming to Iping is desire for solitude. I do not wish to be disturbed in my work. Besides, an accident has affected my face." So here we come to know that Griffin, after leaving London, why did he leave London? He left London because trying to hide in London was getting difficult for Griffin day by day, and therefore he thought that going to a village will maybe help him to hide. Now he goes to a village known as Iping, where he books 2 rooms at a local inn. The reason for booking 2 rooms is never mentioned. Now, at that time of the winter, having a room booked at an inn was something unusual, because at that time traveling was difficult. People maybe preferred staying home, and so booking 2 rooms at an inn was something unusual. But then the manager, or Mrs. Hall, who is the owner, the landlord's wife, she was fine with it. Now, the arrival of this man was uncommon. The stranger's look was very uncommon and very suspicious, because Griffin had bandaged his face all over. He had a whisker, he had a false nose, he had a glass to cover his face completely. Everybody started talking about him. Tongues wagging, it means tongues moving, which refers to talking. So he became the talk of the town. Then he says that Mrs. Hall, the landlord's wife, by all means she tried to be very polite and friendly, but Griffin throughout was very irritating. And then he finally says that my reason to come to Iping is for solitude, for some alone time, and I don't want anybody to disturb me. And the reason behind my bandaged face is that I met with an accident. So this was the reason he gives. Satisfied that her guest was an eccentric scientist, a strange scientist, and in view of the fact that he had paid her in advance, Mrs. Hall was prepared to excuse his strange habit and irritable temper. Now, Griffin had paid in advance, and therefore Mrs. Hall had nothing to say but to entertain him. But the stolen money did not last long, and presently Griffin had to admit that he had no more ready cash. He pretended, however, that he was expecting a check to arrive at any moment. Now, in the part 1, towards the end, we read that he had actually looted a man in a shop. So that money he gave to Mrs. Hall as the rent for the room, and now that money was all over. So he pretended, he showed falsely that no, I will be receiving a check, and whenever that check arrives, I will pay you. Now let's see what happens. Shortly afterwards, a curious episode occurred. Very early in morning, a clergyman and his wife were awakened by noises in the study. Creeping downstairs, they heard the chink of money being taken from the clergyman's desk. This Griffin had been staying in the inn for a few days now. One day what happens that early in the morning, in a clergyman's house, the clergyman is a priest. He was awakened by some kind of a noise downstairs in his study. He rushes there along with his wife, and they hear some cash being taken away. Maybe the jingling of the coins they heard. Without making any noise and with a poker grasped firmly in his hand, the clergyman flung open the door. Surrender. Clergyman was so sure that there is a thief and I have to catch hold of him. He took a poker. A poker is a long stick which has a wooden handle at one end, and one end is iron. It is used to settle the wood in the firewood. And so with that he asked the man to surrender. But to their surprise, there was nobody. Then, to his amazement, surprised, he realized that the room appeared to be empty. He and his wife looked under the desk, behind the curtain, even up the chimney. There wasn't a sign of anybody, yet the desk had been opened and the housekeeping money was missing. Extraordinary affair, the clergyman kept saying for the rest of the day. So, when they entered the room, there was nobody. It was only the drawer which was open and the money was gone, but there was no sign of any person. So it was all very unusual and extraordinary for any common man. And thus clergyman, the whole day he kept on speaking extraordinary affair. But it was not as extraordinary as the behavior of Mrs. Hall's furniture a little later that morning. Okay, going away of money, stealing away of money, maybe the thief must have gone out before he entered. That was maybe making some kind of a sense. But then a few hours later, what we come across, what happens to the furnitures of Mrs. Hall is still much more extraordinary. The landlord and his wife were up early and were surprised to see the scientist's door wide open. Usually it was shut and locked, and he was furious if anyone entered his room. The opportunity seemed too good to be missed. Now, when the couple they wake up early in the morning, they notice that the door of the scientist was open, which was quite unusual. So they already were suspicious about the man, about Griffin. So they decided to investigate. They peeped round the door, saw nobody, decided to investigate. The bedclothes were cold, showing that the scientist must have been up for some time, and the stranger's tale, the clothes, the bandages that he always wore were lying about the room. So there was nobody in the room was all empty, but the bandages and the clothes and everything, that all those things were lying on the bed. All of a sudden Mrs. Hall heard a sniff close to her ear. A moment later, a hat on the bedpost leapt up and dashed itself into her face. Now, Mrs. Hall and her husband, they were both inside the room when Mrs. Hall, she heard some kind of a sniff. Sniff is a soft sound made from the nose. She heard that very close to her, and then sooner did she realize that there was some sniff, a hat out of nowhere smashed on her face. The hat was lying on the bedpost. So the hat smashed on her face. Springing into the air, it charged straight at her legs foremost. This is about the bedroom chair. Then the bedroom chair became alive. So the chair, all of a sudden, it started from nowhere. The chair was up in the air. Now see, Griffin was holding it, but they could not see because Griffin was all invisible. So they could not see the person holding it. So according to them, the chair was lifted in the air and nobody was there who held the chair. So it was very unusual. As she and her husband turned away in terror, the extraordinary chair pushed them both out of the room and then appeared to slam and lock the door after them. The chair moved them out, they both were out, and the door closed. Mrs. Hall almost fell down the stairs in hysterics. In hysterics means in excessive fear and panic. She was convinced that the room was haunted by spirits. She thought that now some ghostly thing has appeared. This stranger man has somehow caused the room and the furniture to get haunted by some ghost. And she was very worried and she panicked. She freaked out. My poor mother, she started reminiscing that the chair belonged to her poor mother, and then she started thinking that what has this man done that the chair is now against me. The feeling among the neighbors was that the trouble was caused by witchcraft. The neighbors started thinking that maybe there is some witchcraft, some dark magic, some necromancy done, and due to which all this is happening. But witchcraft or not, when news of the burglary at the clergyman's home became known, the strange scientist was strongly suspected of having had a hand in it. Now what happens? Now they come to know that clergyman was robbed of and his money was taken. And so they started thinking that okay, these unusual things have started only after this unusual man has entered the inn, and only after that these things are happening. So they started doubting Griffin on that. Suspicion grew even stronger when suddenly he produced some ready cash, though he had admitted not long before that he had no money. Just few hours ago he said that he had no money, and now he is producing some ready cash. Therefore the suspicion against him, it started growing more and more. The village constable was secretly sent for. Instead of waiting for the constable, Mrs. Hall went to the scientist, who had somehow mysteriously appeared from the empty room. Now very secretly, without any noise, without many people knowing about it, they ordered for the constable. And but Mrs. Hall, she was so angry and so much in fear that she straight away went to this Griffin and asked that, what have you been doing? And then she asked, I want to know what you have been doing to my chair upstairs, she demanded. And I want to know how it is you came out of an empty room and how you entered a locked room. She's asking that, first of all, how did you come out of an empty room? And moreover, the room was locked. How did you even enter it to come out? And then she's asking that, what have you done to the chairs? The scientist was always quick-tempered. Now he became furious. If you don't understand who or what I am, he shouted, very well, I will show you. The scientist was getting angry and angry and angry, and finally he says that, okay, wait, I will now show you what you people think what I am. Suddenly he threw off bandages, whiskers, spectacles, and even nose. It took him only a minute to do this. The horrified people in the bar found themselves staring at a headless man. Now soon Griffin started removing everything around his head, and then he became a man without a head, and people started staring in horrified emotions. They were completely horrified. People started staring in horror. Mr. Jaffers, the constable, now arrived and was quite surprised to find that he had to arrest a man without the head. But Jaffers was not easily prevented from doing his duty. If a magistrate's warrant ordered a person's arrest, then that person has to be arrested with or without head. Mr. Jaffers was a lawful man and was a very good constable, so he knew that with head or without head, if a criminal exists, he has to be arrested. There followed a remarkable scene as the policeman tried to get hold of a man who was becoming more and more invisible as he threw off one garment after another. Finally, a shirt flew into the air, and the constable found himself struggling with someone he could not see at all. Some people tried to help him but found themselves hit by blows that seemed to come from nowhere. Now, Griffin, what he does is that he follows his old trick of removing all his clothes one by one and becoming invisible, and therefore it became very difficult for everybody around to catch hold of Griffin. And all of a sudden, the people around, they started facing some blows from nowhere. So it was Griffin who was giving them punches, but they could not see Griffin. In the end, Jaffers was knocked unconscious as he made the last attempt to hold on to the unseen scientist. Mr. Jaffers, he tried to hold on to Griffin, but then he was not successful in doing so and was knocked down. He was knocked unconscious. He became unconscious. He lost his consciousness. There were nervous, excited cries of hold him, but this was easier said than done. It means that it wasn't that easy. As easily one says that okay, this has to be done, but it wasn't that easy to be done. Griffin had shaken himself free and no one knew where to lay hands on him. Now Griffin was completely invisible, and therefore it was very difficult for people to find Griffin and to catch hold of him. In this manner, Griffin again manages to run away from the place, and people were left horrified. Page 28, Footprints Without